Hello, my friends. It is Jessica. I read to relax on Bookstagram, and I am filming a video with you today to share some of my 5-star reads for the month of June, and one from July because it's in a series. But anyway, so I am one of those people who rates a little easier than some of my friends, and part of that is because I used to be a librarian and I used to review books professionally in my spare time. It was my second job, and I was super critical of what I was reading when I was writing professional reviews. So now that I am just reading for fun for me, I tend to be a lot looser about what I consider to be, good or bad. And it's really mostly for me just about the experience. So I will rate out of 5 stars, and it's mostly whatever I'm feeling in terms of enjoyment when I finish the book. So there are times, plenty of times, where I'm like, there was a huge plot hole, or like the ending wasn't great or whatever, and I take those factors into consideration. But a lot of times it's also just, did I have fun physically reading this book? So I actually rate a lot of books 5-star, more than most people that I know. And June was a particularly great reading month. I had 7 5-star reads. I'm not covering all of them today, but it was a great reading month for me, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So, the other thing I wanted to mention is that I read in all different formats. So I read physical books, I read ebooks. I've actually gotten a lot more into ebooks in the last couple of years because I've been reading more indie authors, independently published, and a lot of them, it's easier to get them as an ebook than to try and get a paperback of those books. And then I am also an audiobook addict. Like, I am not kidding. If I am doing chores at home, if I'm riding in the car, if I am doing anything where I could be listening to music or a podcast or any of those things, 9 times out of 10 I'm listening to an audiobook instead. Not only do I just get a huge amount of enjoyment out of listening to somebody telling me a story, but it's increased the amount of books that I'm able to read every year because I can listen to some while I'm reading others. I know that doesn't work for everybody because some people have trouble keeping track of multiple storylines, but I tend to pick books that are different types of genres so that I don't confuse them while I'm multi-reading. So anyway, some of these I won't have a physical copy to show you, and I will just put like a book cover here so that you can see what book I'm talking about when I give you a brief little rundown of why I loved it. So to start with, I wanted to share the first book in June that I gave 5 stars to was Graceling. This is a book by Kristin Cashore. This is the newly released paperback cover. They redid the cover designs, and I read this book when it came out initially, like umpteen bajillion years ago. I can't remember what year it first came out. Let's see if it's in here. Oh, 2008. So I had read this book in 2008 and loved it. I gave it 5 stars back then. And then I swore I was going to read the rest of the series, and I never did. And so I actually won a copy of Winterkeep, which is the newest book, and I was like, I should probably go back and read the other ones before I read Winterkeep. And I consulted with my friend Erin, who had read the series, and she told me if I didn't remember what happened in Graceling, I should probably go back and reread it because the other books are connected, obviously. So if you haven't read Graceling, it is amazing. It is set in a fantasy world where the certain people in this kingdom have two different colored eyes. And what that denotes is that that person has a Graceling. Or they are a Graceling, they have a grace. I swear I'll be able to explain this and you'll understand. They can be graced with the ability to cook. They can be graced with the ability to read someone's mind. They can be graced with the ability to tell if somebody is telling a lie. It just means that they have one thing that they are able to do, like it's a special ability. And our main character, Katee, is the niece of the king. So she's part of the royal family, and they discover when she is young that she is graced with killing. So her uncle, who is not the nicest king in the world, takes full advantage of that and basically trains her to become his personal assassin and sends her out to enforce relationships with other countries to keep his nobles in line. He sends her out to kill people that won't do what he wants to do. So he's a real bastard. And at one point in time, Katee decides she's just not going to do it anymore. She meets someone else who is graced with fighting, and he challenges her in the right way that she ends up breaking free from her uncle's hold, and it becomes a slow burn enemies to lovers story. And I can't get into too much more than that without spoilers, but yes, female assassin, slow burn, enemies to romance, or enemies to lovers romance. Yes. So 5 stars twice. My next 5-star read is Fire, which is from the same Graceling Realm series by Kristin Cashore. And this one's actually a prequel to Graceling, but you do need to read them, or you don't have to read them concurrently, but if you read Graceling and then read this one, you will get more out of it because there is a very specific character in this book who features in Graceling. But Fire, I think, is actually my favorite of the series so far. Fire is a girl from the neighboring kingdom of the Dells, and she is what they call a monster. There's a term for it and I can't remember right now. I feel like a bad reviewer, but she is born with special magic. Her father was like her. They are essentially almost immortal. They have powers to control other people's minds, and they are both beautiful and deadly. And so Fire has been coveted her entire life. Men and women become obsessed with her, and so it's dangerous for her to go out and about. Eventually she meets the 2 princes of the kingdom. One becomes obsessed with her and one seemingly hates her. And again, Kristin Cashore writes a fantastic enemies to lovers romance, and I'll just leave it there. But I really loved, the emotional depth in this book is fantastic. This is, as I said, my favorite of the series. You don't have to read Graceling before you read it, but again, you'll get a little more out of it if you do. So I talked about Graceling and Fire. by Kristin Cashore. The third book in the Graceling Realms series is Bitterblue, and this is the new redesigned cover, and it takes place 9 years after Graceling. So one of the characters in Graceling is the young princess of the kingdom, Bitterblue. And Bitterblue ends up becoming an orphan and a very young queen right at the end of that book. So now 9 years later, Bitterblue is still a very young queen. She's only 20, in her early 20s. And maybe she's 19. Ooh, I should have looked that up. But anyway, she's between 18 and 22. We'll just say that. She's a very young queen, and she has been ruling for 9 years, but obviously she's had adults around her helping her. She has a council that she trusts. She is cousins with some of the other main characters and royalty and other kingdoms around her. And so she has been relying on those people to help her do the best for her kingdom. So now she starts to decide that she wants to take control of her own life a little bit more and to expand her horizons. So she starts taking these midnight jaunts out into her larger ruling city and discovers a whole underground group of people who get together to tell stories, and they tell stories of Katee and Poe, who are the characters in Graceling, and they tell stories of Bitterblue. And she has trouble reconciling the stories that they tell with what she knows is the truth. And she hears rumors of horrible things, and so she starts trying to investigate why what she's being told is maybe not what's actually happening. Well, Bitterblue ends up uncovering a whole conspiracy amongst the highest ranking in her kingdom, and so she has to set these wrongs right again. And this is a kingdom that is traumatized. The whole kingdom is traumatized by the events that happened at the end of Graceling. So this book, I talked about the emotional depths of Fire, and that was really just in her character development, but Bitterblue reads at a slightly slower pace because it delves into the emotional trauma of PTSD in a whole group of people. They are so traumatized that the whole kingdom can't function properly. And so that book completely sucked me in. And I know some people didn't like it as much because, as I said, it was slower. There wasn't quite as much action as the first two, but I really just felt so compelled by what was going on between the characters, the betrayals, the lies, the secrets. There was so much there to dig into. I didn't miss the action. I love a good emotional read, and that was really there for me. So I still haven't had a chance to read Winterkeep. I'm going to read it this fall, but that is book 4, and I'm probably guessing it'll be a 5-star read for me. I don't know yet, though. We'll see. But yeah, so I read 3 of the 4 in 1 month, and they were all fantastic. I highly recommend Kristin Cashore as an author. She is very, very good. So then I read a book called The Saltwater Air, and I'll put the cover here as well, by Cassidy, Clarke, I believe. And this was a debut book, new first in a series, and I loved this book. It is my favorite book so far of 2021. I can't wait to see what happens in book 2. Oh my god. But anyway, it is a book about 2 rival neighboring kingdoms, Nyx and Atlas. Sorry, I was consulting my notes. I wanted to make sure I got the kingdoms right. So these 2 countries have been at war for like 10 years, maybe 10 years plus. And they are like bitterly at war. Like there's battles all the time. People die on both sides. Like they hate each other with a passion. And what was the catalyst for this war was a kidnapping and killing of the princess, one of the princesses of the kingdom of Atlas. So their young princess got killed and it sparked the war. So this book starts with the kidnapping of one of the princesses of Nyx. She gets stolen away to the kingdom of Atlas, where she and the readers discover that they actually believe she is the long-lost princess that they thought was dead. So her siblings now, the royal princes and the other princess, have kept from their parents that they think they've found their sister, and they are trying to get her to remember that that's who she is. So our main character is in a foreign kingdom that she's been raised to hate, surrounded by people who are telling her that she is actually their family. And she doesn't trust them. She doesn't believe them. She has no memory of being there until little things start to spark and she starts to have these memories and she's not sure if it's something she can truly believe. The family relationships in this book are so good. The siblings, the banter back and forth is amazing. Every character is fully developed into their own human being. And it was so good. And it is balanced, like there is action and then emotion, and then action, and then emotion, and action with emotion built into it. Like there was no stopping place in this book where I was bored, and I was captivated with both the events and the people and the concept. And there's secrets and betrayal and people hiding who they truly are. And like, oh my God, I want people to read this book because I think it was fantastic. And as I said, I am eagerly awaiting book 2. I will be trying to get my hands on an early copy. So again, I'm talking too much. And let me bring up just the last couple that I wanted to mention. Like I said, this was a really big reading month for me. So the next one was an ebook, and it was Neon Gods by Katee Robert, and it is the first book in her new series that has to do with like a modernized Greek mythology series. And this one featured Hades and Persephone, and Zeus rules the upper half of their city with an iron, creepy, gross fist. And he is on the hunt for another wife because his other wives just disappear when he gets bored with them. And Persephone's mother has agreed to let Zeus have her. And of course, she is not okay with that. Not okay with that. So she takes off ends up in the lower city, and they are separated by, I believe it's the River Styx. I'd have to go back and double check, but they're separated from the lower city, and the lower city is ruled by Hades, and it is a place where the other gods sort of can come to relax secretly, and people don't live in the same sort of fear that they do in the upper city. So it's a real cool twist on sort of the whole concept of Hades ruling the underworld and the underworld being bad. Because here, it's not. Like, it's full of vices. People explore their urges, but there's no torture, there's no any of that. And this book's spicy. It is spicy, and it is graphically spicy. So if you are not into those openly spicy scenes, this is not the book or series for you. But it is a great change of pace when you read a lot of just, you know, epic fantasy kind of things. And Hades and Persephone's relationship is... whew. So if you're looking for one of those kind of reads to dive into, Neon Gods was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to, I believe book 2 is called Electric Idol, and that one is Eros and Psyche, I think. It comes out at the beginning of 2022, and I will be reading it. So next up is oh god, I love this series. So especially as we come into the fall, if you haven't read Juliette Cross, she's a great author, and Don't Hex and Drive is book 2 in her Stay a Spell series about the Savoy sisters, who are witches that live in New Orleans. The first book, whose title I can't remember right now. Holy crap. Let me see if it's in the front of this book. Wolf Gone Wild. I loved Wolf Gone Wild because it was witches and werewolves, which are two of my favorite types of paranormal characters to read about. Don't Hex and Drive is a witch and a vampire. Oh god, Isadora, the main character of this book, is a very homebody type witch. She loves to just cultivate her plants and hang out at home. She doesn't really date. She's not really interested. And then she ends up meeting Devraj, who is this old Indian vampire who happens to be a very successful, very hot Bollywood actor. And let's just say he convinces her that, you know, perhaps finding love isn't the worst thing in the world. So I love these books. I love this series. The characters are great. The romance is great. There's magic. There's other paranormal characters. Like, they're very funny. Like, I giggle my way through them. So, if you're looking for witchy reads as we get into September and October, I'd suggest picking up Wolf Gone Wild, Don't Hex and Drive, and then the third book, I believe, just came out. So I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list for this fall. So yes, that one. And then for today, last but not least, is A Court of Honey and Ash by Shannon Mayer and Kelly St. Clair. So again, this is the first in a series. It's the first in the Honey and Ice trilogy, and it is a epic fantasy book about a half fae orphan, or so we think at the beginning of the book, who has been trained to fight, and now she's participating in these trials so that she can earn her place in their kingdom. They compete, and the winners get a job, they get a place to live, they get to be part of the court, like soldier force, and if they don't, they get exiled and they die. So she ends up competing. She's basically at the top of her class, so to speak, and then she breaks their realm. Like, breaks it. So their realm is fueled by magic, and she breaks it. She doesn't know how, she doesn't know why it happened, but it did, and now she's got to deal with the consequences. She also runs into the guy that she's secretly been in love with for years and years and years, and has to deal with him following her around and harassing her, and the fact that she doesn't want him to know that she's been in love with him for years, and that. And I just thought it was a really interesting world, a neat take on the fae. I love any book that has sort of, you know, devious fae and dark fae, again, enemies to lovers romance, and secret royalty. Oh, that is my favorite trope of all time, secret royals. So give me a secret royal, I'll give you a 5-star. I'm just gonna be honest here. So this is one that, again, I can't wait for book 2, which is coming out, I believe, in September. And I will be reading that. Yes, I will. So those were almost all of the 5-star reads that I had for the earlier part of the summer. And I think what I'll do, because there were less in July, is maybe do a combined video of my July and August 5-star reads. So stay tuned for that. And, you know, in the comments, tell me if you read any of these, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. I'm happy to chat about details about them and how you rate your books. Because like I said, I'm sort of an easy 5-star sometimes, and I'm not ashamed of that, because if I liked it, I liked it. I know what I like. So, all right. I will see you later, my bookish friends. Have a great rest of the day, and I hope you find some fantastic reads. Bye!